Hi, good evening. Steve Adler. You got a minute? I want to talk about the numbers that we have today, but first I want to talk a little bit about events of today. People are asking me uh, uh, what they should be doing, what behaviors are appropriate during this virus. When we say stay at home when you can, I'm being asked what that means. I'm being asked about that, given the fact that Dr. Escott and I have been saying that every day since March. When we say that, what is the expected behavior? So I want to talk about that first, and I want to talk about what is the news today. But first, I want to answer that question. When we say what behaviors expected, when we say stay at home, what does that mean? And it all depends on what conditions are at the time. It depends on the risk level. That's why we keep going back to the color-coded chart, because we ask for different behaviors at different times under different conditions. So let's begin with the color-coded chart that we have, and let's talk about restaurants, for example. So when we're in the yellow zone, we have yellow, which is stage 3. We have orange, which is stage 4. And we have red, which is stage 5 down at the bottom. Different behaviors in different situations. The situations are described by the columns at the top. And you can see in the columns at the top that we talk about good hygiene, we talk about wearing masks, we talk about social distancing, and we have dots that show what the behavior is with respect to that column, with respect to the color coding. We also talk about maintaining social distance, face coverings. All right, then we talk about gatherings and talk about the gatherings that people should avoid, and we talk about travel, which is in that second column in the middle there. And then we talk about dining, which is where we would have restaurants. When we're in a yellow zone, we say that it's okay to go to restaurants. But of course, we've asked you to eat outside because it's safer. We've asked you to keep your party at the restaurant to 10 or fewer people. We also recommended, Dr. Escott and I, that when you go to eat at a restaurant outside in a group smaller than 10, that you try to limit the number of people that make up your party of 10 on any given day, so that you're not eating with 50 or 60 people over the course of a week. But if we take that same column about avoiding dining, it also says shopping. When we move to orange, we're going to ask you to take fewer risks. So if you look at the column avoiding dining and shopping, it's to the right of the dot. There it is. When we ask you to avoid dining and shopping in the orange area, we still say it's okay to go to restaurants. We still ask you to eat outside because it's safer. But in the orange area, we asked you to really go to restaurants with the folks that are in your family bubble. Right now, we're suggesting to people that it's okay to go to restaurants and to eat outside, even though we're in orange at this point. Eat with your family members. I was with the restaurant folks today. They're an industry that is working really hard to make conditions safe, and you should look at the restaurants to make sure that you have a compliant restaurant. But it's okay to go to restaurants, eat outside, and while we're in this orange zone, let's eat outside with members in our family unit. It's also possible, by the way, to get gift cards or to do takeout, and we should be doing that to support our restaurants. Now, we don't want to go to the red zone. We're all going to try to avoid that. But if we get to the red zone, consistent with the chart, we're going to ask you not to go and eat at the restaurants, inside or outside, and just do gift cards and take out dining. But we will continue to tell you, so long as the virus is here, that it's always safest to stay at home. That doesn't mean don't go to restaurants, but it does mean be as careful as you can. Travel is another good example. Just to the left of the column about dining and shopping is the column that says about avoiding non-essential travel. In both the orange and red area, we ask you to avoid non-essential travel. And you can see the two dots that we have in the avoiding non-essential categories in the yellow and the red. In the orange and the red. In the yellow, we only ask high-risk individuals to avoid non-essential travel. Okay, but we will continue to tell you, so long as the virus is here, that it is always safest to stay at home. Be consistent with the color chart. There are still behaviors outside the home that are okay to do. That chart should be a pretty good guide to tell you what you can or can't or should or shouldn't be doing. Now, I've been in the news today. The first week of November, my daughter got married here in Austin. And like many other brides, she had to cancel her original plans in order to follow the rules. And instead, she had a small, mostly family, very private wedding. Sarah was beautiful. The wedding was beautiful and intimate. And most importantly, she was happy. Afterwards, a small, mostly family group traveled to Mexico. I want you to know that I regret that travel. I wouldn't travel now. I didn't over Thanksgiving, and I won't over Christmas. And no one should. Everyone should be avoiding non-essential travel now because we're in the orange area. Now, I fear that the travel that I did, which took place during a safer period, followed the color-coded rules, could lead to some taking riskier behavior now. I recognize that my travel set a bad example. I recognize that the fact that I took that trip and at the same time was continuing to urge people to be cautious is confusing. I know that others have chosen not to travel under the same circumstances. And I know that in my position, I need to send a clearer message. I'm sorry I took that trip. It was a lapse in judgment, and I want you to know that I apologize. Let's go ahead and look at the numbers today. We have our two dashboards, which we'll go over. The first dashboard, we look at hospital admissions. You see we're at 29, which is lower than the 7-day moving average. We talked about the fear we had that maybe we would see a lot of cases coming today, people that didn't go to hospitals over the Thanksgiving holiday. We're not seeing that, which means that people's behaviors in this orange area seem to be holding us well so far. Our fingers are crossed. We'll wait to see what happens with respect to post-Thanksgiving gatherings. But for right now, 29 below the 7-day moving average of 30 is good. Number of new cases today, 280, just above but close to the 7-day moving average, significantly below yesterday's 360 cases. So that number is looking good as well. And these things could reflect a change in behaviors when we moved from yellow to orange about a week before Thanksgiving. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed that we've done that. We'll keep our fingers crossed that gatherings over the Thanksgiving holidays are not going to give us a bump. Let's take a look at the actual people in our hospitals and our ICUs and our ventilators tonight. The number of people in our hospitals, 222, just above the 7-day moving average of 217, but close. The number of people in the ICUs tonight, 73 people. The 7-day running average is 75. Number of people on ventilators tonight, 41. 7-day moving average is 43. So both ICUs and ventilators are a little lower than the 7-day moving average. Again, this is not a time to relax. We're in an orange area, orange zone, and in orange, we're asking people to take greater precautions, take fewer risks, and see if we can hold on to where we are to avoid having to go into a red zone. Number of new cases today, 39,037. It's only going to be probably within this week that we cross 40,000, which is a somber thing to do. Number of people that have passed away, 486. That's 2 more than yesterday, which means there are 2 families that have lost a member of their family over the last 24 hours. Bottom line, when you look at these 2 charts, you can see that we've reached at this point another plateau. It reflects the behaviors we were doing a week to 2 weeks ago. We're all going to keep our fingers crossed with respect to Thanksgiving to see what happens the tail end of this week and into next week. Again, I want to apologize for taking the trip that I took. In my position, it doesn't make any difference whether it was consistent with the rules or not. I need to set a clearer example so that my message is unambiguous. And for the failure to do that, I sincerely apologize. With that, tomorrow is a city council meeting, so we won't have Got a Minute tomorrow, but right at the end of the council meeting, I'll go on Instagram Live, probably about 5 minutes after the meeting if I can, talk about what happened at the city council meeting, just to touch base. We'll be back to Got a Minute on Friday evening. And with that, you all take care, good night, and be safe.